No, we're
Okay.
not going outside.
Uh,
Unless Grandma wants
According
to
to
take you
the
outside.
information that I have,
Sorry.
everything is
They were
okay at the
fine just
moment.
2 seconds. They were fine just 2 seconds ago, and then as soon as I swear, as soon as the connection started going,
Hey,
what?
that's you know, I had a similar sound at this end about half an hour ago, so I know what it's like. It's okay. Right. Right. I had my youngest daughter trying to chew through the banister of the stair. Yeah.
Oh
And
no.
yeah. It's like I'm going to bite this with my teeth. I'm like, please don't eat the stairs.
Okay, I am back.
Hey, welcome back. You know, it's it's a never-ending task, the task of being a parent. It's
Isn't
not
it?
20 it's more than 24/7. It's 25/8, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
how parents are able to get everything done that they get done is it's crazy. One day parenting will be classified as a job. I'm quite sure because because it's
I
far.
actually I actually just saw that on Facebook. They did
Yeah.
like a poll somewhere here over in
Mm,
the US, and it said that like parents that stay home and like work from their home, it's
mm,
actually more of a job and more
mhm.
stressful than parents who like leave their kids somewhere and go to work because
Um.
you're always on.
Oh yeah. Maybe I saw the same article posted recently. Yet that yeah, it's intense because there's very little space. With the job, you
Yeah.
can kind of take it and leave it, or a lot of people can. Everybody's job's slightly different, but there's usually a period of time where you can switch off, or you can hide away, or you can do your own thing, or I don't know, take your cigarette break or whatever, right? But with the parent, your radar is always on, right?
Yeah, it seriously takes multitasking to a whole nother level.
Mm. Oh yeah, it does. It also takes fatigue to a whole nother level as well, because
Yeah.
because you'll you, you'll suddenly open your eyes, find yourself lying on the couch thinking, huh? What, what
What
happened?
day is it
Yeah,
again?
what day is it again? What happened?
What was
Why
I
is it the
doing?
middle of the afternoon? Where are my kids? Oh my God. Oh my God,
It's
what's
like,
going on?
really? I haven't changed clothes in 3 days? Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that. I can imagine that. Um, excuse me for 1 second at this end. What's up? What's
Yeah,
up?
your
Yeah.
mom's going to put her telly on. Is that okay? Is that going to
She's
disturb you?
My mother's going to put her telly on.
Yes.
Well,
She wants to know if it's going to disturb you.
um,
She'll keep her door
I don't know
closed.
if she's going to disturb me with that. I have no idea. As long as she shuts the door on her side,
Yeah, she will.
right? She shuts her door on her side, and I
Yeah.
shut this door on this side, and
Okay.
you
That's what
know,
I said, but I wanted to double check.
yeah. Well, I'll let you know if there's an issue.
Okay.
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 Okay. Dun dun dun. Look at that family management, right? Family management. Uh, I heard you mention the word. Was it grandmother or grandparents there? Are you?
Yes, my
Yeah.
mother-in-law is here.
Okay, cool. Because I was just um, thinking that it's nice sometimes to have the grandparents around because they can they if it can be stressful as well, but if they can take off a little bit
Yes.
of the pressure from time to time, it's uh, it's really useful. So right now I'm up in the Highlands of Scotland and I'm visiting my parents, and it's nice for me and my partner to have somebody else who can look after the kids for a period of time, so we get a little bit of space for ourselves, which we don't normally have. So that's kind of cool as a little thing.
Well, enjoy that for me. I'm trying, but man, I don't know. My youngest does not really like my mother-in-law, and
Hmm.
she's not somebody I would leave the kids alone with. Let's put it that way. So
Oh.
I'm here,
What,
and
what,
they're
what is,
here playing in the
what is,
backyard. But
uh,
I'm able to watch them.
yeah.
Um,
Whoa,
so
rewind. What do you mean you wouldn't, you wouldn't leave your kids with the grandmother? Is it seriously?
no, seriously, and my
Yeah.
husband wouldn't either. She's just not. She's just not. I don't know. It's almost like she needs to be on a disability. She just isn't. She just
That's
isn't aware.
that's
Like
for
yesterday,
save that
I
for your
left
stand
my
up. That'll be
young.
cool.
I know, that's what I was. I was actually writing a friend of mine about it this morning, going, I was telling my husband yesterday because I left her alone. I left my youngest, who's 1.5 years old, with her in our basement. So I was up 2 flights
Mhm.
doing some recording for this book that I'm working on,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I came downstairs and she had a scratch on her face and she was
Ooh.
crying, the grandmother didn't know where the scratch came from. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you've been down here an hour with her.
Mhm.
Like how can you not know? Like there's
Yeah.
no other room.
Yeah.
And so I was telling my husband this, and he's like, wow, like you probably would be screaming at me right now if I was home. And I'm like, yeah, you know me too well. But it's okay because, my kids, they love her, and I'm always here. But it's kind of hard. She's doing the best she can, and I'm really trying to remember that myself. And then I think, she doesn't come that often, but she was at least able to make the trip. And so I just need to be thankful for who she is and that she's in the children's lives. My parents,
Mhm.
they're perfectly capable. They can come whenever they want,
Mhm.
but they don't. And so it's kind of like she's doing the best she can. So I have to, forgive that and just always be around. Basically, it's kind of more work for me. But at least she makes the effort.
Mhm.
Whereas, my parents, they kind of try to make the effort, but I know that they could be around more if they wanted to be. They made more of the effort. So it's kind of that thing.
Are
Um,
they are they are they
so
giving
yeah.
you
So,
are they purposefully giving you more space, or are they not interested?
well, I come from a family, so there's 6 children in my family, and
Mhm.
all of my brothers have children around the same age. And so it's kind of, I almost feel like we're the ones that are, 6 hours away from them,
Mhm.
and they just, I don't know if they just have the space for it or the time, or they don't think about it,
Mhm.
or that they're just set in their ways.
Mhm.
Um, but my mom, so that's my dad and my stepmom, and my mom, she's actually halfway across the world in Hawaii.
Okay.
And so when she does come over to, the continental U.S., she does
Mhm.
make it a point. She does stay a week with us,
Mhm.
So, gosh, I just think it's just a matter of everybody doing the best they can,
Mhm.
even though it can be frustrating.
Mhm.
And, grandparents especially, they don't always do what you would like them to do, or they can't always show up in the way you would like them to show up.
They're more out of
Um,
control than the kids most of the time, in my
right?
experience. Yeah. The kids are 15 trying to act like they're 40, and the grandparents are like 70 trying to act like they're 15, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
you got the kids trying to grow up quickly, and you've got the grandparents trying to run around as if they were half their age. Well, that's my
Yeah,
experience anyway.
and it's even and it can be even more frustrating because like they don't get YouTube. At least my
Hmm.
family's like, my kids are like, oh, I want to watch this show, and my mother-in-law's like, well, I don't know how to play it. I don't know how to reset it. I don't know how to work the TV. And I'm like, oh, I cannot be coming down here every 10 minutes to reset YouTube. This is not going to
Uh-huh.
work.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, dealing with the dealing. I have more problems dealing with the older generation than I do with the younger generation, because the younger generation have kind of look up and have this respect for their parents, or hopefully they do.
Yep.
And with the older generation, it's like, I'll give you a little story, real story from yesterday, right? So my mother's 75 years old. She's not feeling too good at the moment. So, I said to her, take it easy, Mom. Maybe you should stay in bed. Maybe you should, stay wrapped up, and, drink your hot drinks and take it easy. And she's like, no, everything's much better when I move around. I need to get up. I need to get everything circulating. I need to do things. It makes me feel better. And I'm like, okay. And then like 10, 15 minutes later, she's like, oh, I'm just going to jump in the car and pop out and get a few things. I'm like, oh, just like, slow down, right? Slow down. And she said, oh, can I pick up anything for you? And I said, well, where are you going? And she said, oh, I'm going into this shop in town. And I said, oh, there's something in the shop next door. Could you pop in and pick up some pencils and paper and stuff and things that we need? And she turned to me and she said, well, I don't really want to walk very far. I was just like, what? What? 1 second you're telling me that it's not good to stay in bed. You need to get up and you need to get around and move as much as possible. Then the next second you're telling me you can't pop to the shop next door to the place where you're going because you don't want to go very far, even though you have to get in your car and drive for 20 minutes to get to the place. And I'm I'm like chewing on my fingers, right? I'm chewing on my fingers going, this is too much for my brain. This is too much for my brain.
So were you the one that had to do the walking then?
Oh, I just left it, right? I just breathe deep and find something else to focus on. Right, you just breathe deep and you find something else to focus on, and you say, well, I'm here if you need me, right? And let people do just what they will. That's a line from a song. What song is that? It bugs me. It bugs me when I've got a line from a song in my head and I can't remember the song. George Michael, the album, George Michael Faith album. It's a song on the George Michael album Faith. Better let them do just what they will, because they will. There we go. Anyway, sorry, that stuff pops into my head sometimes. So, yeah. But
isn't breathing deep and shifting the focus, though, isn't that kind of the secret to life? Focus on something else. And just relax. Move on to the next thing.
That's it. That's it. We've solved all the problems. That's it.
Haven't we?
That's it. What do we do? Breathe deep and focus on something else. That's it. That's it. That's what you do, isn't it? I mean, you keep your attention focused on things that you can control, and the things that you can't control, you just let it be, right? You hold on to what you can hold on to and let the storms pass, and then generally everything will be fine, hopefully, in that sense. So tell me a little bit about your kids. Are you still there? Oh, you're still there.
Sure,
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so, well, I'd like to introduce myself, actually, and then go into my children.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay.
So, give us a little bit of your personal information. You can put out your name and where you are and your podcast and anything else that's relevant. Yeah, just put it out there for people.
So my name is Callie Amiday, and right now I'm living in mid-America, Iowa, the state of Iowa. Mm-hmm. And let's see, I'm a mother of 3, soon to be 4. I work at home / stay at home. I've been an energy healer. I haven't always worked as an energy healer, but I'm an energy healer. It's like my life's work, my life's passion. For the past 20 years, I've been doing it since my teens, actually, when I discovered it. And then I just recently I became an audiobook narrator, so I'm helping to do that. And then I also, kind of for the fun of it, also my life's work, I help do ministry, like life coaching / ministry at the Unitarian Church here. Wow. And so I have 3 children, an 8-year-old boy, a 3-year-old boy, and a 1.5-year-old girl. And our next baby is due, I believe, in March.
Wow.
And I am working on a podcast with a friend of mine. It's going to be kind of a parenting / life coaching / tidbits about life and kind of what we're chewing on here. And so far, the name of it, we're going to be calling it Baby Steps, the Potty Mouth Parenting Show. So a place for parents to kind of come and learn how to be parents, learn how to be people. We recognize that, hey, we don't have it all down. We don't have it all figured out. And maybe we'll learn a little bit about something about life in the process. And so I'm hoping it'll be, it's primarily for parents, but really if anybody, feels inspired or gets something out of it, really for anybody, and just having a lot of fun with it. So
Yeah.
over the summer, I started doing comedy. I started doing stand-up. And my very first, after my very first time, I had several comedians here from the local scene come and tell me, hey, come back, come do this again. You're pretty good at this. We almost don't like you because you're too good at this your very first time. And I'd love to, but as a parent, I can't go out to the bar every single week and do stand-up as much as I would like to. So I'm hoping to be able to channel some of that energy into the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It sounds like a great idea. And parenting is such a key role in life. It's such a key issue. It's such a big topic that it almost encompasses everything. In fact, it's probably one of those things that brings the entire world together because everybody has experienced it to some extent. Either as being a parent or as being a child growing up, right? We all have something to share.
I discovered that firsthand when we had our first baby, when I saw how, the expectation of the new baby and the baby showers and all that, it brought extended family, people that we hadn't really ever been close to, together in a way that I hadn't felt before, even more so than our wedding. And then after the arrival of the new baby, it's like people take on a whole nother dimension, a whole nother level relationship to you and your family. It's like, I feel like my relationship to my in-law, either my in-laws, but that's changed, my relationship to my aunt, to my sister-in-laws and my brother-in-laws, it's gotten even deeper because we now share nephews and cousins that we're all looking after. So absolutely, it was really transforming in a way and taking us to the next level.
Oh yeah, it's
of relationship.
yeah, absolutely. Because you have to raise your game at that point in time. You have to go to the next level. There's no choice. You can't, after having a child or children, you can't live the same way as you lived before. You are no longer an independent spirit, in that sense. You've got dependents, you've got people who need you, and very often their needs will come before yours. And it's key. It's key to focus. It's key to focus on that. So that's pretty cool. So it's soon going to be 4 kids in the family, and that's going to be even more work for the family.
Absolutely.
Right? That's going to be even more
funny.
work.
My oldest keeps saying, "Oh, it'll be twins. It'll be twins." Well, coincidentally, I have the twin gene. My mom had twins with her last 2 babies.
Wow.
And I'm just like, no. So
5 could be 5. Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah.
Wow. Well, but the way I see it, the more the merrier, in that context, right?
Yeah.
So it's also there's also this kind of selfish element to it, which is that by having more children, you are in fact preparing for your own future to a certain extent. And by that I mean distant future. Yeah. Because we all have to realize that one day we're going to be old. And when we're old, we're not going to be able to do everything that we want to do ourselves and for ourselves. We're going to be much more dependent upon the other people around about us. And we're going to need our children's help at that point in time. And when I think that a lot of people don't think about this. A lot of people are not thinking about the long-term future vision, which which is which is the fact that if you have, for example, only one child, there's a higher probability that child will be further away from you, and it'll be difficult for them to help, because in the modern world, everybody travels, everybody moves away, everybody goes somewhere else to a certain extent. For example, where I'm from, originally in the Highlands of Scotland, everybody that I grew up with left. Everyone left. like the whole year of students left, right? And nobody came back. And so if you have more children, what you are doing is creating a higher probability that in the future you will have some support underneath you, which is really important for family structure. That's my perspective anyway. You can tell me what you think.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely, and actually, my family is an example of that. Like I said, like there were 6 children in my family, and my dad's family had 7 children in his. And I'm originally from this tiny town in South Dakota, which is a state like north and west of us. And they established a family dealership there, a family car dealership there that's been in existence for 50 years that my grandfather with his father established and set up, and it's just grown. So my dad took it over, and now he's handing it down to my brothers, and it actually expanded. And now it's not only a Chrysler dealership, but a Ford dealership as well. And so we've always kind of had that standing in the community, that impact in the community and the state. And it's solid. I mean, they're like my 5 brothers live in Chamberlain now, and 2 of them are helping to run it. And we all have, let's see, I think there's 13 kids between my brothers and I have so far, no more than that. And then my other brother, him and his wife, they established a daycare. So we have like this whole family. These family businesses, and then I have a cousin who does carpentry work, and he helps build houses and things like that. So they kind of, the family kind of has been established, and we have that support system for each other there. Now I live 6 hours away, and kind of like I was saying earlier with my dad, just being busy with the family back home, like it's something we've chosen, but I recognize that, and now I see as my children, and how you were saying, like we don't think of it long term, and I kind of wonder, part of the energy work and the life coaching that I do centers around people reconnecting with that divine aspect of themselves, that aspect of themselves that's God. And so I really wonder if these quote oops babies or these accident babies that would happen when people are young and not planning it are God's way of setting this person up, setting the mother and the father up for the future. But they don't realize it, in the moment because of lack of planning. But being able to step into that awareness, that divine awareness, and kind of the longer term that you were saying, can help bring peace, I think, for many people.
Yeah, it's all part of the intelligent, perfect design of things, where we don't realize what's going on, and until we fully connect with something in the world around about us, we don't realize what's going on. I mean, the seasons pass everybody by sometimes without even really being acknowledged, because people are so self-absorbed in whatever it is that they're doing in their life, and very often they don't have a bigger picture of things. And to understand the bigger picture, you've got to look at the world around about you. You've got to have some kind of connection with it. You've got to realize the importance of the elements. You've got to learn everything you're not taught in school. You know, when they say, sit down at this desk and open this book and read page 53 and answer these questions, and there's only one correct answer for every question. And so it's such a narrow perspective on everything there is to learn in the world. And you've really got to go and, you know, find an answer to that yourself in the world. And part of that is through connection, either with other people or with, a lot of people would say, connecting with nature, connecting with yourself, connecting with some people would call it a spirit, some people would call it an energy. There's a call going on in the background. Answer the phone. What's going on? Everything okay?
We just had our home line reestablished. We took it down for a little bit, and and nobody has our new number. So it is robocallers that have been calling. We've gotten 4 calls this morning, and it's all people trying to sell us stuff. So.
I would, you know, it would be great if there was some kind of system where you could reach down through the phone and strangle the shit out of some people. But maybe that's not a good idea. Look, I ran a business out in Central Europe for 15 years in Slovakia, and because of this and the work that I did and the number of calls that I got from people, I decided one day that I was never going to answer my phone again, ever. And I decided that this was going to be the productive solution to me focusing on what I need to focus on to get the shit done that I need to get done in my life. And I didn't need any distractions. And so for most of the last 15 years, I have not answered any phone, ever. In the last 15 years, with one or two tiny exceptions of someone's going to be in the supermarket and, you know, needs something to pick up, or there's some kind of emergency, or you rush the kids to the hospital because you think there's some kind of problem or something. You know, there's always some obvious exception to it. But the quality of my life has grandly improved since I decided not to answer my phone, for the very simple reason that people want things from me, and if you want something from me and you don't have the time to sit down and write an email or write me a short message about it, or respect the fact that I might be fucking busy when you need something, then that's that. So I didn't have a landline, and now that I'm visiting my parents, and they have this landline in their house, and more than 50% of the calls are, you know, what you described as robocalls, are people phoning you to sell you stuff. It's crazy, in my opinion. It's crazy to have someone you don't know interrupting and disrupting your day. The nerve of somebody that I don't know coming into my world and trying to sell me some piece of I don't know what that I don't need is unbelievable in my book. I have no place in my life for things like that. And I don't know how other people can put up with it. I don't know how other people can put up with answering these calls. Even when I had an office that was near the center of town, and people would come and, like, they'd know their business was there, they'd come and knock on the door, or sometimes they'd just walk into the office and try to sell stuff, and I would just, you know, I'd be like, can't you see I've got an office here, I'm working, I'm busy, can't you respect the fact I'm doing something? And it got down to the stage where people would come in and I would say, you've got 10 seconds. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, if you've got something to sell, you've now got 5 seconds. And I'd count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'd say, bye-bye. And they'd turn around and walk away. That was my way of dealing with it. But I don't know how people can deal with that stuff. I mean, I don't know. What's your perspective? How do you deal with that? Is it just something that's normal? Is it okay? That would bother me.
Well, it was really nice not having a home line, but we got one because I wasn't ready to get my 8-year-old a cell. Well, we got a really good deal on it, actually, with our internet and our cable,
Mm-hmm.
And then I also like when in case we have babysitters that come and don't have their own cell phone, which is
Okay.
kind of which is really rare, but it can happen. And then every once in a while when we run to the store, something my 8-year-old just doesn't want to come. And right now a cell phone would just be too much for him to like keep track of. So that's why we got it primarily. But as far as the other annoying stuff, I don't know. Like there's supposed to be this do not call list here in the States, and I don't know if it works.
Well,
It
obviously,
works for like 3 weeks.
wait. Obviously, it doesn't work at all if people are calling you.
Well, but I mean, this was just established yesterday, so I haven't
Oh,
put our
okay.
phone number
Okay.
on it yet.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. But we have used it before, and I swear it didn't. I mean, it worked for like a week. It didn't. I don't know if they've improved it since then because it's been a couple of years ago. And I just saw on Google actually that somebody who helped create the robocaller or something just was fined like multi-millions of dollars. So I am surprised.
Sorry, wait, 1 second.
that
When you
this
when you say robocaller, like, do you mean that it's a person or a machine?
It's a machine that goes around and calls numbers.
It's a
Have you ever had the
machine. It's not even a
experience where
it's
you
not,
yeah,
it's
where
not
you
even a person.
answer
What?
and nothing like you answer and there's nobody there and it either hangs up or like you hear in the machine's voice. Like I get recordings all the time and it's really
What?
bad like during political campaigns. Like my husband's a truck driver, and since he's a truck driver, they automatically assume that he's a Trump supporter. So we get all these phone calls from Trump about how Trump's going to be in Des Moines, and go out and vote for the Republican senator that's running, and come down to this rally and do this and do that, and it's like, and it's a recording. Somebody like speaking an entire paragraph through the phone on a recording.
My God,
So,
how is that not illegal? How is that not completely illegal?
Well, and and it's like, okay, I can put my number on the do not call list, but then the Republican Party can bypass that and still send me calls with recordings. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I don't.
Well, it's bad enough when a person calls you, and here's the other thing. I don't know anybody. I've never in my life met anybody who bought anything through a cold call, or whoever was able to sell anything through a cold call, right? So I mean, if you must have, it must be like a 0.001% success rate, which is backwards in terms of how to run a business, but. And if you do sell something, you're probably taking advantage of the person anyway, which is not a good thing. But the fact that it's a robot or a machine that calls you to deliver you a message, that's oh my God, that's a new level of digital harassment, right? I mean that's out of order. And the fact that a political party think that you would vote for them because they programmed a robot to call you. I mean, is that backwards thinking or what? Right? You're going to be like, oh, I'm so happy this robot called me to remind me that I have to go and vote for someone that I don't know in some kind of election that I probably can't control, and somebody who's not going to listen to me anyway whenever they get wherever they want to get. I mean, madness. This is what it is. It's absolute madness. So landline, I am not getting a landline ever. And my phone is set to voicemail automatically. So if somebody calls me, they get a polite voice message saying, I'm very sorry, I can't come to the phone right now, I'm busy. If you have an urgent problem, please send me a text message and I'll get back to you at the very next opportunity. And this message has been in my phone for, 5 to 10 years. And you know what? I have received 0 text messages, right? Now, you can say from a business perspective, maybe you're losing clients or whatever. If the person is that desperate that they need to contact me urgently and they don't have time to spend 30 seconds writing a coherent message to me, then they don't really want my services, in my opinion.
Right.
Right. And how can I, because I work in doing coaching as well, so it's like, how can I help someone that doesn't have the cognitive ability to follow simple instructions anyway to get something that they
Right.
need, which is very simple. And I've even had people annoyed at me. So I called you and you didn't answer your phone. It's like, well, did you get the answer phone? Yes, I got the answer phone. Did you follow the instructions? Why should I follow the instructions? Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And at the end of the day, I'm like, but it's you that wanted something. You
Yep.
wanted something from me, and you're angry with me that I didn't pick up my phone even though I left for you perfect instructions about how to contact me. I don't know. I don't know if society is going forwards or backwards sometimes, right? You have to wonder about some situations. But I get what you said. You made a point about your 8-year-old and a mobile phone, and should an 8-year-old kind of have that technology? I know that if I give my 8-year-old a mobile phone, within 48 hours he would misplace it, or
Right.
he'd
Right.
mistake, he'd see if it flies like a frisbee, does it skip and skim across the water like a stone because it's all shiny and flat, or
Yeah.
it would be explored in the wrong way, and he would stress test it for sure.
Yeah. Yep. We've gone through 3 tablets already
Oh
with
yeah.
him since he's been 6, and it's
Mm,
like, I'm just not ready to give you a phone yet. And
mhm,
I mean, they're Nerf guns. I mean, they have their Nerf guns for like a
mm,
week, and they're destroyed. and,
yeah.
and it's like, I, yeah, I'm just not,
Well,
no.
I thought we got
So,
round this. I thought by we got him a little digital watch that has like a phone in it, so that he could wear a watch
oh,
that actually had the phone in the watch, so that he could make calls
what are
from
those
it.
called?
I don't,
Robies? Are those called Robies or something? Or
I'm not aware of any
Zoomies?
name. We just bought it on some. It was some, I don't know, with cheap Chinese import into Europe, and it's like, okay, we'll get one of those, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And so we wanted to test it to see if it was a good idea. And it was great until he took off his watch and couldn't remember where he put it.
Yeah.
and, then, and then it's like, well, you go, okay, take it off at night and then put it on when you wake up in the morning, and then he'd forget to put it on in the morning, and it was like, well, that was a good idea, but that didn't work. So
Yeah.
so never mind it. So until they get the tracker chips fitted into the clothing or whatever other weird technology they're going to come up with in the future, um, the 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 kids are just kind of gonna be running around. But hey, it's childhood, so there should be that element of freedom and everything there. Eventually, there will come a time when they're able to handle having the phone. Maybe at age 12, 13, maybe something around then will be cool. Or maybe by that point in time, the technology will change. Maybe we won't even have phones. Maybe it'll be something different. Maybe it'll all be so small that it'll be like now. Like I've got this remote headset, and I'm walking around this room as we're talking, and you're in another continent, and your voice is in my head, and maybe it'll be something like that, right? So who knows where that's all going in the future. You mentioned something about being involved with unschooling in the past before, yeah, in connection
Yes.
with education.
Um,
You wanted?
when
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you if you could, talk a little bit about a little bit more about that, and your perspective on education, maybe.
Sure. Well, I was mostly into it about 5 years ago when my son, who's now 8, was entering into preschool.
Hmm.
So 3, 4 age. And from the time, so he was really late in speaking. I wasn't sure if, let's just say that he marches to the beat of his own drum. And at the time, I wasn't sure
Hmm.
if traditional schooling here would have been the best option for him. And so I looked into unschooling, and I learned a lot about it. I ultimately decided that, yes, we're going to try school. I felt like his needs were just more than I could deal with at home. And the whole idea of unschooling is, you let the child just set their own curriculum. You let them kind of develop in their own pace and in their own way, which in a lot of ways I felt he needed. He needed the time and the space to do that. But at the same time, I don't know if there was a combination of things where I wanted to expose him to more than what I was able to. I wasn't sure, like I said, I didn't want the responsibility to fall on me to ensure that all this was happening. And I think like my ability to really trust in the development of a child, I can do it, I could do it, but not to the extent that he would have needed for me to have not put him in public school. And so I ended up actually being a guest speaker on a telesummit, an unschooling telesummit, where I talked about that, how I was kind of interested, but I just wasn't sure about my own children. But I see how it's valuable. I know in some countries, I think it's Germany, where it's completely illegal to even homeschool, where there's value in having the choice to be able to do that. Now, I don't know here in the U.S. how it's regulated, because there's a lot of stuff that's moved from like the physical school to doing school online, like online public school. So right now I don't know how regulated it is, like between states and things like that. But I do know parents who just do it. And so fast forward now, my son, he's 8. He's in the public school. He's on what's called an IEP, an individual education plan, where he gets individualized attention. And like, say, if I need like certain things, like his tests, he's behind in reading right now, about 2 grades behind in reading. And so, we have it in his IEP that any test that he takes, he gets more time. It can be read to him. And so, but a lot of it here is so regulated. Like standardized testing is so regulated here, and all the kids are on these graphs, and so it's so regimented to teach a certain way and to measure children's intelligence in a certain way. And so I think that's why there's the backlash of homeschooling, unschooling, online schooling to like make way within the rigidness here of the system. And so I think unschooling is very good. I think my frustration with public school, and I get why it is the way it is, where they have to teach a certain way, where they have to be structured. I feel like my son and probably a lot of other children just need more time to develop. And another thing about that, like I like how school almost immerses them in all kinds of different things and opportunities. But for some children who can't assess them or assimilate them or like integrate them at the pace that school, throws it at them, I don't know. Right now he's in it. It's okay. It's fine. I'm prepared that if something needs to happen or change, that I can do that. But until he needs more help or until his environment needs to change, it's fine for him.
Yeah, it's interesting the legal elements of the schooling, because I looked into it, and the world has 200 countries, plus or minus 2 or 3. It sort of changes every year. Of those 200 countries, only 15 allow homeschooling. Yeah. Only 15.
Wow.
And so what that is that's less than 7%, right? When you look at it from that perspective. In 93% of the territories of the planet, 93% of the world, it is not legal to homeschool or unschool. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's quite amazing. Yeah. So if you are from a country that allows it, for example, Britain or the United States, you are the minority, right? You are the minority, because the trend in the rest of the world is to absolutely forbid it, to make it a criminal offense. And as you pointed out, in places like Germany, if you actually homeschool your own kids, they put the parents in prison for that. Um, so that is quite frightening. When I lived out in Slovakia, we homeschooled our children, and we had to jump through a lot of legal hoops to do that there, but that was possible, and it's really interesting. That the laws and rules in Scotland, where I am right now, state that all children, and this is great, all children must have an education. Stop. That's it. All children must have an education. That is the law. There is absolutely nothing written about schools in the law. And I find that fascinating, because to define so openly the difference between school and education is amazing. To make that definition, to realize that education is completely different from school, is quite amazing. And to realize that those countries that are advanced enough to allow parents to educate their own children are in such a minority and getting smaller. Not larger, but smaller. Because I know within England and within Scotland and within the United States, there are each year more and more regulations that make it more and more complicated for parents to take control of their children's education if they want to. That is because, in many situations, putting your child in a state school is the best way to give them an opportunity in many situations, but not in all situations. You also mentioned freedom as well, and it's really important to have freedom in education. And for me, freedom is the ability to say no to something if you don't like it, if you don't want it. If, say, you belong to a certain religion, for example, and it's not the same religion as, I don't know, where the kids go to school. Yeah, I think you have a right to, to choose your own religion for your children. I think you have the right to say no if you don't want them to take specific classes. And there's so much regulation against the right to say no. It's kind of frightening, really. So the awareness that's necessary, where awareness needs to be heightened in society about options such as homeschooling or unschooling, to the point where I've worked directly in education all my life, but specifically within major forms of state and company regulated education. I worked in that for 15 years, and I didn't hear about homeschooling until I was 30. I was 30 years old before I heard the word homeschool. Can you believe that? Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Wow. I was 30 years old.
So, I have a friend. Her son, he's turning 18 this year. Mm-hmm. But when he was around 5, 6, 7, he started having problems in school. And she's a childhood friend of mine, and so she ended up calling me when this happened, and we lost touch for about 10 years. But when the school actually pressured her into taking him into counseling, and then as he got older, into like fifth, sixth grade, she couldn't hold them off anymore. They wanted him on medication, and never once did she hear the option of homeschooling. And in our conversations, I said, no, you should look into homeschooling. You should really look into homeschooling if you don't want to medicate him. And she asked the school, like, well, what do you think about homeschooling? And she was basically told, well, don't do it. Nobody does it. He'll be a social outcast. And it wasn't until a year later, after he'd been on meds for at least 3-4 years, that she came to find out that the homeschooling community in her town is huge, and that there would have been a lot of support for it. And she to this day, she blames the school about how she wasn't supported. They didn't give her the option, and now her child, he's been on meds his entire childhood, And, he's coming out into the real world, and, there's concern for him, and there's a whole generation of kids like that.
Yeah, so that's really crazy. And that's also what you're basically saying is the school lied to her, right? Because it's a lie by omission. It's by not including all of the options that are actually available. You're lying to somebody. And that's, you're trusting these people to educate your children, and they are lying to you. They pay you back with lies. That's a frightening scenario. And that's the first point. The second point is that is who in their right mind really wants to medicate children when children are, with the exception of extreme forms of illness, who in their right mind wants to medicate children? Because children are constantly changing. They're going through developmental phases. They're growing at different rates. They're experiencing this the physical and mental growth, all of these changes going on. Of course, they're going to be confused, and then they're thrown into a school system where they're treated like a tennis ball basically, and knocked about between all these classrooms, and so of course they're going to be a little bit disorientated by that as well. Waking up early to get to school, and the stress involved. I've been thinking about that recently, actually, because we homeschool our children. I don't talk about it a lot, but we do it. And one of the things that I'm really, really, really aware of is first of all, contact time with your children is really important, and the less time you have, the more important it is. And think about the first part of the day, and I'm sure you've experienced this, like the Monday to Friday classic situation in the morning. Get the kids up, get them out, get them going to school. You either drive them to school or put them on the school bus, or whatever system is it, or maybe they walk to school, whatever system is there. But show me a household where the morning is not stressful, because everyone's stressed and everyone's running around and everyone's trying to get things done and everyone's got like time limits, and very few people get up early enough to give themselves time in the morning. And most people hit the snooze button and go back to sleep for another 15 minutes because sleep is good, right? So this morning time is so stressful, and people forget how that affects the kids. Because if you know yourself, like if you're working in energies and healing, how you start your day is really important.
Yep.
Right? You want to start your day with the right mindset. You want to start your day in the right way, whether it's you do your exercise or meditation or some other form of whatever makes you feel good in the morning. So, you've got to get your mindset right the right way from the moment you get up in the morning. The average person from the average family, the first half an hour of their day is complete insanity. Right? If husband's working, wife's working, kids have to go to school, it's the same. It's the scene from every TV show and film where it's just madness in the morning and everybody's rushing to get everything done. And that's so wrong. That's just the wrong way to start the day if you want to have any kind of productive approach or get anything done. And with the homeschooling that we're doing, my children can get up when they want, which means sometimes they'll get up at 7 and sometimes they'll get up at 9, right? Sometimes they get up earlier at 7, sometimes later than 9. But there's not a specific time set unless we have some specific activity planned. And that means that they can get up and be themselves and not be kind of punched in the face by the morning, which is what happens to the average person in the panic that they have to get to work or get to school or get to wherever they need to be. And that makes such a big difference to how the children act and react through the rest of the day, because they've got that bit of time for themselves to orientate themselves, to get themselves set up for the day. And that's just one of the little keys that I think is really important in the homeschooling or unschooling environment. That time the little bit extra time that you can take for yourself in the morning is really, really, really important. So, yeah, the state schools have their way of doing things, and like I just said, I didn't hear about homeschooling as an option. I didn't even know it existed until I was 30 years old. And what does that mean? I mean, that kind of suggests to me that somebody was hiding it from me, because how is it possible I can live 30 years of life and not even know that this option exists, never have seen a TV program about it, never heard about it from somebody else. And I worked in education, right? I worked in education, and I didn't know. And then when I found out about it, it seemed like such a natural option to me that I was so confused as to why nobody would talk about it or suggest it. It's just so bizarre. And anyway, I think it's important to remember that there are so few places in the world where you can actually do it, that where you have the opportunity to do it, you have to preserve it and embrace it, and realize that it's maybe a lot of people will talk negatively about it, but that's probably because they don't understand it enough from that perspective. So, and what are your plans for education for your kids? Do you have a plan? Are they going to go to state school? Is it going to be are you going to have more control over it? You said your son's got that individual program, the individual plan, which I think is good as well, to have that as well. Do you have an idea or a plan yet, or are you going to deal with that in the future? Do you have a vision for that?
I don't. I just want to see whatever the best option is. So as long as things continue to work, we'll just keep it how it is until they don't work anymore, and then we'll adjust. My little ones, so my 3-year-old just entered a preschool, and I was going to kind of hold him back a year before doing that, but he was so excited to start. So when we dropped Kai off, he'd always talk about wanting to go to school, and I want to go to school, and when I'm going to start school. And he was actually the opposite of my oldest. He started talking at like 6 to 18 months, and in sentences. And so he's been telling us for a while that he wants to go to school. So now he's in preschool, and my youngest, I don't know. She'll just have to give me cues. I feel really blessed that I'm able to some extent, honor that. I think like the whole, I don't think homeschooling is for everybody, or unschooling for that matter. I think the parents need to have some kind of stability and resources themselves to be able to really do that adequately. And I think that if I needed to do it, or if that's what it would be best for them, then we could move in that direction. In fact, I think it'd be really fun. I'd love to travel, just like take my kids out of school and just travel all over the place, all over the world, and just show them what the world is like. But not now, when the time is right.
Yeah, I can understand that perfectly. I mean, one of the things that I like, and I work from home, and my business is online, so I can work from anywhere. But one of the things I like is that I get to be with my children during the day. I get to experience the day with them. It's not just the weekend or the rush of things, or at the end of the day when people are tired after a long day or whatever. So I actually get to experience the day with my kids, which means for example, yesterday at lunchtime, I took the kids to the beach, and we talked and we played and we did things there, and I really value that time. I really value that time, because all parents know kids grow up so quickly that it's you snap your fingers and maybe they're gone, right? Because I don't know what happens to the clock when you have kids, but the hours, there suddenly seems to be I'm sure there were 24 hours in a day before I had kids, but after having kids, there seems like about 3, right?
I know, right?
Because by the time you've sorted the things that they need out, by the time you've got the yeah, if you've helped them with food and clothes and any other things that are going on, by the time you've sorted out activities for them and you've arranged, I don't know, whatever it is you need to do and play dates with people and going places and, you know, half the things related to entertainment, you know, are about what the kids need. So your focus is on that a lot of the time. So, you know, as we started off the conversation talking about, you know, it's a full-time occupation doing that, and it's as important, or even very often more important than any other job out there, because you know you're bringing up the next generation. You know, one day we'll be too old to do what it is that we do, and we're going to hand it over to them, and hopefully we're going to hand over something which is like better than what we got, and you know they're going to take it, improve it, and make it even better as well, and that would be a cool thing to see in the future. So you talked earlier about your plans with podcasting. Have you done any shows yet, or are you just putting the plans together for what it is that you want to do?
We are just putting plans together.
Mm-hmm.
We keep saying we're going to do it tomorrow, but we haven't yet. So hopefully not next week, but the week after. We just start in October for sure.
Okay, that's super cool. Is there a website where people can get more information about the healing work and things that you do with that?
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's just my name, CallieAmiday.com. Callie Amiday AMIDAY.com.
Okay, that's cool. And do you
and
work?
That's a little older website. That was when I lived up in Minneapolis, and that was from 4 years ago. I haven't really updated. I can do stuff over the phone. Mostly, most of my stuff is done over the phone now.
Oh wow!
But that website is from when I worked out of like a physical address, like a wellness center spa up there.
Mm-hmm. So people don't need to be in the same physical space as you.
No.
So they
Nope.
could do it over the phone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Energy is, it's not confined by distance or time. And we're all energetic beings. Everything in the universe is energy. So it doesn't matter. In fact, it's almost better. Yeah. I did one last week actually. I got a call from a former client of mine, and he referred me to somebody, and it was good. It was like, they were like, well,
it's an amazing statement. Energy is not confined by distance or time. I'm going to have to think about that a lot. I've never thought about that before. It's quite an amazing realization. It's amazing the number of things that are important that we don't actually think about. Wow. So do you work with individuals or groups? How does it work? Does it one-to-one? Hello? Have we lost connection? Ah, we lost connection. Let's see if we can reconnect. Reconnect. Do. We lost connection. Can I redial? Redial. There's the sound of a phone. There's the...
Hello?
Are we back?
Oh, we are back. I'm hearing a little static now, but...
Okay.
Nope, you're back now.
Okay, that's cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Earlier in the conversation, there were a couple of silent moments.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Is that okay?
Okay.
We okay?
It cut out a little bit, but I can still hear you.
Okay.
So I think we're still connected. Okay.
Okay, that's cool. So the healing that you do, can it go through the internet as well? Like, can people call you through Facebook or Skype with you, and it'll work in that sense as well?
Oh, for sure. Yep.
That's cool. It's if we can use the technology to bring us closer to people, especially people with gifts, maybe like you have through healing energy that can help us. That's a good thing, I think. It's a good thing to be able to have those connections. It's a good thing to be able to reach out to people as well. About the energies, is it a more female orientated thing than male orientated? Because I hear about a lot of women who have these abilities and are able to do that. So uh, is it right to say that more women are involved in it, or is that not right at all? Because I don't
I
really.
don't know. I wonder if we just hear more about it like in our advanced societies, but I know, like down in Brazil and like where I'm from originally in the Philippines, there's a lot of male healers.
Okay.
We just don't hear about it, and they're in different countries. So, but there's one that Wayne Dyer. He was like a motivational speaker here, pretty well known in America. Anyway, he talked about how he went down to Brazil to see an energy healer. I think his name was Saint. He goes by the name of John or something. Anyway, I guess this healer.
John in Brazil, right?
Yeah, I want to say it's like Saint John or something like that.
Okay.
Something church oriented, but I'm not sure. Where he has people travel, like he has 50,000 people see him every like week or so.
Wow.
And people come from all over the world. So yeah, it's just how other people do it. It's just who's getting their name out, and what we tend to come across, basically.
Wow, and I've seen a lot of stories in the news recently about people who work in holistic medicine who have problems because because states and governments don't like that, or the big pharmaceutical companies don't like people working in those ways. I mean, have you had any experience with that?
No, I haven't. But I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not diagnosing anything. So it's not been. I'm not telling people to not see their doctor. I'm not telling people to get off meds, that kind of thing. So no.
Okay, so how do you? Because I don't know anything about it, so maybe I'm gonna ask a question. Maybe this is a stupid question. I don't know. Like, how do you judge the success of what you do when you're working in that
People
area?
tell me.
Okay.
People tell me. I always ask their feedback. So this might sound kind of weird, but I tell people one of the best times actually to come in and receive a healing is when you're not feeling good. So that way you have a gauge as to how you felt before. So a lot of times if, say, somebody comes in with pain, I'll have them rate their pain on a scale of 0 to 10, and then when it's done, where is it on that scale of 0 to 10? And a lot of times I'll have people tell me in the session it's completely gone.
Wow.
And it's been gone forever. It's been years since I've seen you, and it's still gone. I had one client, years after I'd seen him, he's like, yeah, like, and I didn't know this before he came in to see me, that he had gone to the doctor already several times and they didn't know what was going on with him, and he was afraid he'd have to leave his job. He was a construction worker, and he was like, I don't do anything else. I don't know what to do. And he came in to see me as kind of a last resort, and he said gone, completely gone. So, and I didn't diagnose him. I didn't anything with him. I just did my thing, and he felt the results. So.
Wow. Well, there's definitely so much that we don't know. There's definitely a lot more of the human experience and the universal experience that needs to be explored, for sure. We've only just, maybe uncovered 1% of how things work, I think. And maybe it'll be a long time before we understand more of it. But it's definitely interesting. I know a lot of people who work in alternative medicine, and people who are doing yoga and different kinds of yoga and meditation activities, and I haven't had a lot of experiences of that myself, but I respect it because you have to respect the fact that people are different and there's different ways to do things, and it's all important, and different things will work for different people. One of my clients actually recommended to me 2 weeks ago that I spend time in salt water, standing in salt water, that is good for my body. And what I've done a couple of times in the last 2 weeks is go down to the beach and take my shoes and socks off and stand in the water at the beach. And strangely enough, I felt better after I did it. I don't even know why, but I know that it worked. I know that any negativity or bad feelings I had went away, and that I felt better after doing this activity of just standing in the salt water. Of course, I looked like a bit of an idiot because this is the north of Scotland and it's absolutely freezing, and people don't do anything in the water. But maybe we do need to do that. Maybe we do need to reconnect. Maybe we have kind of lost something at some point in time through history. Wow. I don't know if there are any other topics that are on your mind, or if there's anything else that you'd like to discuss today. Are we still there?
I think I'm good. Yeah, I think I'm good for today.
Okay.
I'd like to come back again sometime, though, if you ever need somebody.
I'm sure we will be able to connect, and I think there are some people online that are very interested in the topic of parenting and talking about that, and it might be nice to try to form a little group that can get together and talk about that. I don't know how you feel about that idea.
Oh, I think that would be really fun, actually. I'd love to explore something like that.
Yeah, it'd be good if people can get their time zones and everything organized together. That will be cool, and that's a possibility in the future. There are lots of different things that are possible. I think it's great to try and explore podcasting and leave this audio record of information for other people to pick up, and hopefully there'll be something useful for people that's in what we've discussed. If people are interested in any more of my work, this conversation will go out on the Chatterbox podcast, which is all my co-host conversations. Things then get recycled round and about. It will appear on the YouTube channel, the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching, and I'm preparing edits as well to put onto the Business Coaching Masterclass podcast, which has some episodes on parenting and life coaching there as well. And I think communicating with people is how we learn, not just about them and their world, but about ourselves as well. And as long as we're able to communicate with each other, as long as these channels are open, we will always be able to grow and learn and share what we know. And, hopefully we'll leave a little bit of a legacy behind for other people. I don't know what you think.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Hey, it's been fantastic chatting with you today. And what I'm going to do is, if you drop me an email address into the chat, what I'll do is I'll take this audio and I will email it to you in the next 10 minutes. Okay? So you can pick up the audio at your end and let me know that you get it. Let me know that you get it. Okay, and whatever you want to do with it at your end, you can do with it. It's yours.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you too. I really appreciate it when people reach out across the internet and they're prepared to take this little risk. They're prepared to dive in and to discuss topics and to share their experiences. I think it's not everybody that is able to do that. And I really appreciate people who responded on the Anchor forum, and I hope that we'll be able to keep in touch and take next steps. If there's another conversation, it'll be great. If we can set up something about parenting, that would be great. That I think it's good to look at things from a perspective of there's no limits but the limits you set, right?
Absolutely.
All possibilities are possible. All possibilities are possible.